was like really and like when am I gonna see where's the fruit of my labor, you
Hmm.
know? And so I was really confused on what I wanted to do, if I really wanted to stick to playing after, and I just had to make a decision. So that first year I didn't play. I just went to Dominican college and I just decided in that year, a coach had reached out to me and was like, "You have to be playing. Like you're crazy. There's no way that you're not playing."
Uh-huh.
Um, and I just went back and forth about it, back and forth about it. And my husband now, who then my boyfriend, he was encouraging me to keep going. He
Yeah.
was like, "You should just try it out." And so I was like, "All right, let me try it out." I went to Monroe College. I got in with a full scholarship without them seeing me play, just on the coach's word because he knew the coach and he's like, "Trust me, she's everything you need in a defender, a midfielder."
Mhm.
And so I got in and I played those 2 years, got nationals, got All American,
Oh, wow.
everything. NJCAA, we won the whole tournament. So it was in a beautiful journey itself. I got offers from many colleges from Florida, Mississippi, Oklahoma, but the visit to Oklahoma kind of just felt like home.
Hmm.
And the moment I went to Oklahoma, I knew it was it.
Hmm.
And so I committed and I loved the coaches, the staff. I met some of the players. It was all great. And so that's how I got to Oklahoma. That was the
Okay.
journey to Oklahoma.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I don't think we dove into that on our first conversation over the phone a little while back. So that's cool. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Pretty
Yes,
cool.
yes.
Pretty cool. So walk me through what the first few months after you graduated from Oklahoma. It was Oklahoma State, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So walk me through the first few months of graduating from there. Was it your desire to play professionally, or did you know right away that you were going to be done?
So right away, I really looked into how was sports growing. I was like, okay, if I want to go down this path, a lot of my friends at Oklahoma were thinking of going professionally. I have so many friends that play in France, Switzerland, Brazil, all over. OKC, the women's team at OKC.
Hmm.
And so I had a lot of options, especially my coach had open doors for me.
Hmm.
But it was for me, it was like, again, I was so focused on my future. I knew I wanted to have kids.
Hmm.
I knew I wanted to get married. I knew there was so much for me that I wanted to make sure I had solidified.
Hmm.
Traveling wasn't something that I was going to be okay with because I want to be there for my kids. And the moment you have a kid, you have to still get back into being an athlete after. There was so much I had to think about. So I was young, but I had a futuristic mindset. So for me, I was like, okay, well, financially, this is not going to work. You know, I've spoken to so many different teams and it just wasn't going to work. There's still a lot that I would have to get another job for. And I was like, so then why am I going to kill myself, play professionally, but also have to be trying to work myself financially to get something going for myself? Um, is it a decision I regret? No. Definitely, I would encourage people nowadays, if you can do both, you can. But I did already have things lined up and solidified a year after my husband proposed. So there was a lot of things that we've been dating for many years. So there was things that I already had in in alignment
Hmm.
of where I wanted to go.
Hmm.
So very confused if that journey, if it was going to look for me, if I was going to continue being an athlete. But what I did want to do is stay in the game. So what I did, I used my talents as a coach and I started coaching. And it brought a lot back to me that I had a lot of mental um, wisdom from the game and I could pour it into these young girls. And that's what I was doing. And I was taking teams from that weren't very good into teams that were doing much better. In the sense of just shifting a mindset, because I realized a lot of athletes from a young age don't even know they can achieve anything. Um, it's if you have the talent, you get pushed. But if you don't have the talent, but you also have maybe the willpower, you don't get pushed. No one really pushes you. No one thinks about you. Nobody talks to you. Nobody nourishes your gift. You know, sometimes loving the sport can get you further than actually the talent itself.
Mm.
So I realized I had a key there. So I really started coaching. I coached at many different organizations and clubs. I did a lot of one-on-ones, and it's something that grew. And I would do camps at NYU and big colleges. I got offered to coach at colleges, which was great. But another thing with that was I was starting a family. I got pregnant, and then there was stuff that had happened where now you're bigger. There's so much more that gets tunnel vision. Um, and so moving around as a college coach isn't going to work, you know, for me. I mean, a lot of women do it,
Mhm.
but for my preference, it was not something that I wanted to do. So it was a journey that I had to take on my own, but I had to really sit with myself and ask, is there something in women's sports that need me for me to continue playing? And
Mhm.
I was like, no, you know, they have everything, they have what they need, but what can I do behind the scenes? I can push a lot of people to go for something that they really want. I can help build the mental power that is needed for the to be an athlete itself. I can help athletes actually come out of college, because one thing I did struggle with coming out of college was what's next? Like now
Mhm.
that I'm not an athlete, what's next for me?
Mhm.
You know, and it's like all you know is being an athlete,
Yep.
you know. And one of the biggest things for me was how do I transition into life after?
Mhm.
Where does what does that look like for me? What is the talents and goals that I have outside of playing soccer?
Yep.
Where does this take me? And that was a question that really like was hard to figure out. It took me about 4 years to really answer that question, because
Okay.
I didn't, I was so bent into the game of soccer from 6 years old,
Mhm.
where I was playing for the US camps. I was doing so much at a high level from when I was so young. I just naturally had the talent that I just never thought of anything else outside of that. You know, I
Mhm.
never knew what I wanted to do after playing. And that's one thing that I hone in on now. And that's what I pour into my athletes now. And a lot of high schoolers and even retired NBA players, retired any kind of sport you're playing. It's one of the things that haunts you is like, oh, wow, I was only an athlete. I don't know
Mhm.
what else to do with my life, you know? But you do have identity after that, you
Mhm.
know, and you do have something and a calling and a purpose for yourself after that. It's just about finding that path, setting yourself before you get there. Because I realized I wish I had this before I stopped playing. You know,
Absolutely.
I wish I had a basically like a guiding hand, you know, like a guidance counselor when you had in high school to say, oh, well, once you're done playing, this is the path for you. That could actually lead you 4 years instead of 4 years, 4 months, you
Mhm.
know, that could actually put you on a better journey and a better path for yourself. So that's what I give to athletes now. And I truly think that that's where my calling was. And I'm grateful that I didn't continue playing.
Yeah. No, that's you said a lot of things that I thought were profound. One, I'm always interested to hear a woman's perspective on going professionally because a lot of the things that you were saying, I only can speak for myself, weren't things that I was thinking of as a man aspiring to play professionally. You know what I mean? Um, and so I think that that's important to shed light on, just because I think the woman's journey can be a little. There's more things to consider in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you sharing that. Also, um, you said um, the first thing you did coming out of college was you wanted to stay around the game, and I think that that can be an important first step for a lot of people, especially early on, just because sometimes I think if you remove yourself and just kind of like go cold turkey, if you will, it can
Mhm.
kind of be a culture shock. It could be a real shock, and it could kind of turn you off to other whatever the possibilities might be out there for you in corporate or business or anything like that. So that was something that I never really thought about until you said it just now. So no, that was all really good. What were some of the things that you did to um, you know, find your identity? Because obviously we would have. I'm in the same boat with you. I wish I would have done the work a lot sooner than I actually did. But it took me that 4 years that you mentioned, that was similar to me. It took me just as long, if not longer, to figure out who I was and what I wanted to do. And I'm still figuring it out. I still don't 100% know, but what did that look like for you? What were some of the things that you kind of did to, um, you know, redefined or reestablish your purpose or your identity? So, excuse me.
Yeah. I tried different things. I spoke to different people of like, what did I do best prior to playing?
Mm-hmm.
Or what did I do best outside of playing?
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't know what that was for me. Like, what
Mm-hmm.
was my strong suit outside of soccer? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was hard for me. And so I had to ask a lot of people, what do you see? Like, who is Christina outside of soccer to
Mm-hmm.
you? And I just gathered a lot of information, what people said, and it cultivated what I kind of wanted to do with my life, still very, very early, trying to figure it out. And then I started throwing darts at things that I liked,
Mm-hmm.
such as physical therapy. So I took courses and I took classes. I um, just didn't like it.
Okay.
But it was around the sports game, and
Yep.
it it cultivated a mindset for me that maybe I could be in physical therapy close to where I basically grew up in the athlete game.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do it for professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely wasn't something I want to continue doing. So I I removed myself from there. And then I went to, okay, well, what do I love doing outside of all that, outside of sports in general now?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go outside of sports for a little bit. I was still coaching.
Mm-hmm.
um, I coached for many years. I stopped coaching in 2022. But I was coaching soccer for many years alongside just trying to figure out what to do. And I started taking courses on different things, such as real estate. I started learning about real estate as my husband's been in the game for many, many years. But I found this avenue called wholesaling real estate. And I learned as much as I could about the industry, loved the industry, loved what it called. I loved the connection of the game. There was so much of the transfer in entrepreneurship, from athlete world to entrepreneurship, which is real estate, where you're making your every day, it's you making something happen. So it's like for being an athlete too, every day is not guaranteed for you. You don't have a spot made for you. You may think you do, but you don't. So
Yep.
you have to show up every single day and actually present yourself to actually get a win that day.
Yep.
So I saw so many transitions in the entrepreneurship space, started taking courses, started learning about it. Um, I got myself in the game, started crushing it. We started buying properties. We started just kind of building some kind of wholesaling business. And we took off from there. And it was something that was phenomenal. And I was like, whoa, this is a great avenue. And something that athletes may not know about, such as real estate investing in general. Something that they, especially with the NIL contracts now, you know, it could hurt a lot of athletes if they're just taking the contracts and then afterwards they don't know what to do with it,
Sure.
and so real estate could be a great avenue to start investing into, for athletes during their sports, after their sport, retired, anything in any phase of your athlete journey. You should be starting to understand the game of real estate,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where you should be putting a lot of your money to work. That, and then I started learning about how do you buy existing businesses. One thing that really drew my attention was this business world in general. I loved business, and I wanted to learn so much I could about it. I started taking courses about it. I started understanding what it makes a business. How do you negotiate? How do you just grow a brand? How do you understand the whole ballpark of how do you make something grow from nothing? And that was something that was so intriguing to me. And I guess that's why I also worked right after playing. I worked with the kids that weren't the greatest, taking a little kid that has dreams, but maybe the talent's not there, and turning them into something that is actually for themselves appreciated,
Mhm.
So it's like, I love that transition. And so business was that for me. I love the idea of business. And so I started taking courses. We started buying businesses. Own multiple businesses ourselves. And something, again, that I think athletes should be getting into, especially buying laundry mats, car washes, stuff that hands off, but have cash flow. It's so important for athletes to be actually pouring their money that they're getting back into something that will actually build leverage for them when they get out. Even if you don't know what you want to do, but you know that your money's still working for you, there's so much room for you to grow.
Mhm.
It's so much room for you to find your identity.
Mhm.
But when you come out and you're just like, oh man, now what? Or you've blown your money buying cars, shoes, all these designer things that you shouldn't have been blowing your money on, instead of you should have been investing on it. We don't know that. And I feel like athletes, we're told to just focus on the game. Nobody tells you to focus on your academics. Like, you never hear anything about focus on your academic or what are you studying in school as an athlete. You never hear that. Even guiding athletes just to, even if you don't know what you want to do, get a business degree, because after, you're going to need it regardless. You're going to need it during.
Mm.
You need to make negotiations regardless. If your agent tells you
Yeah.
something, you need to know if what they're saying is correct. If you
Yeah.
have some kind of knowledge on business, you'll understand it and you won't get cheated. So it's an avenue for athletes, unless you know what you want to do. That's different. But if you don't know what you want to do, you should just take a basic business course in general, or degree path. And I think a lot of athletes don't get that. We get pushed into psychology, sociology. It's just like, just focus on the game.
The easy stuff.
Just yeah, to get you to transfer, to get you to do whatever,
Mhm.
to get the credits to match. This is what you need to do. And one of the things that we struggle with afterwards is, now what? What do you do with this degree? Now we're going back to school, spending more money for no reason, when we could have used our scholarship money, so much stuff that I think athletes are just don't know yet, and I want to bring that to the forefront for them. And I think that's in my journey after, was that for me. Like, I had to figure out what that looked like. And that's what I started doing. I just started throwing darts at things and seeing what I liked, what I didn't like, until something stuck, was real estate business. And I want to stay though around the athletes. That's one thing I want to do. Because I do believe we need help. We need help to some degree for some kind of direction plan.
No, love that. Love that. And I mean, you have to try to see that you don't, if you like it or don't like it. If you didn't try the PT route, you wouldn't have you would have never known. And I think that's worse. That's a worse feeling than trying it and learning that I don't like it, is always wondering like what if, or and just kind of having that lingering thought in the back of your mind, like, oh, I can still go do this. Just try it, figure it, learn fast, fail fast. So I love that. I have a couple questions. One, I'll ask the first one. What makes athletes good entrepreneurs or businessmen and women?
An athlete that learns how to listen and teamwork.
Okay. Well, let me re-ask. Why why are athletes prepared to be good entrepreneurs and business owners?
Because we learned at a young
Okay.
age how to
Yep.
listen
Okay.
and
Yeah.
how
Okay.
to work,
Yep.
as a team.
Yep.
I think those are the keys to entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
They say one of the biggest things in negotiation is listening.
Mhm.
If you can hear pinpoint your competitor or somebody you're trying to get a deal from, whatever they're saying on the other end, you hear a pain point, it's going to be loud and clear.
Mhm.
But if you're too busy talking or showing your viewpoint, your opinion on something, you're going to miss it. So entrepreneurship is all about staying silent until the right time. And I think you learn that, especially as midfielder, defender, like myself, timing is everything. It's like when you're one-on-one with somebody, the wrong time, especially as a defender, it's them and the goalie. So if you're the last person, so in order for you to stop a play or go advance a play, you need to know the right time to step in or step out.
Yeah.
And I think that's all entrepreneurship is. The right
Mm.
time to make the move, the right time to buy the business, the right time to say no, the right time to say yes. Um, all those structures and the idea of who's going to say the next word, who's going to make the next move
Mhm.
in all those avenues. So if you're not listening, you'll say something that your competitor would have just told you before you said something, and instead you said something that made them not say it, and you lost the deal.
Mhm.
So
Love
listening.
that.
Yeah.
Love that. And kind of going back to a um, couple questions ago when I was talking about the identity, a lot of what you were saying to me sounded like it sounded more career driven, more like business focused. But how about the identity of like you as a person, like
Hmm.
detaching it from the business or career or whatever? Because I know, at least for me,
Yes.
I only saw myself as a basketball player. So even I've said this before, but I retired a couple times. The first time I retired, I went and I tried to work, and I felt so uncomfortable. I
Yeah.
felt so uncomfortable. I just felt out of place. But it was because I hadn't yet done the work to redefine my identity outside of basketball. I felt like a basketball player in corporate. You know what I mean? So what was that like for you?
It's something that is very difficult, uh, because everybody puts that on you. The moment you were a soccer player or a basketball player and everybody knew you as that, they'll never detach from that.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the hardest things to go into business and into a new avenue, and people are like, you're a soccer player.
Yeah.
what are
Yeah.
you, what are you doing in real estate, or
Hmm.
what are you doing here? What are you doing there? But what I've realized with life in general is people like to attach a certain identity to somebody depending on um what you've given them to attach.
Hmm.
Also that's what I proposed. That is what I really scaled and what I showed.
Hmm.
I didn't show any other facet of me. So it's like they even say on social media, one thing you want to do is not just stick to one avenue if you're looking to build your social media, but speak about every avenue of your life, because then people will know you about as a basketball player, a basketball coach, and then they're like, "Oh, you drop a new product," and they're like, "What? Thomas is it? He doesn't do business,
Yeah.
you know." But you never showed behind the scenes of business deals. You never showed behind the scenes of something else. Um, you never showed behind the scenes you have kids or whatever it might be. People are just going to attach to what you want to show them, and it's okay if you want to do that.
Mhm.
One thing I do keep private is my family. Online, I don't share my family online. So people may not know I have a family, but one of the things that I'm okay with is that you don't need to know.
Yeah.
But for me, when coming out of being a soccer player, it's like I should have done better with the fact that I should have knew myself. I only knew myself as a soccer player. So everybody else could only know me as a soccer player.
Mhm.
And so in order for me to come out of that identity shift within myself, I had to realize what they're attaching is what I'm giving them to. So I had to look into myself and say, okay, well, in order to change the narrative, I got to change it first. And so it's hard. It's hard to post, and people are like, oh, well, I thought you just did soccer. Why don't you just stick to soccer or, do something in that realm of things? Why are you going off the screen? Like it's like something that is very foreign, you know?
Yep.
But that's what I've shown. And so it's okay for people to have that pushback. And and you realize it's a good thing too, because it pushes you as well to show up for yourself. So one of the things that I do consistently is do try to post that. I try to post different avenues of myself. I try to post what I can. So whoever is viewing the information can know, yes, I played soccer, but I also, this is what I do on the side. This is how I build my businesses. This is how I do my real estate deals. This is how I built the business from scratch. Whatever it might be, I want people to know so they could start knowing that about me. But identity shift, I feel like that's still something I'm struggling with now, because people still, to
Mhm.
this day, you still find out this is what you are to people. I
Mhm.
still get messages to coach, a whole bunch of places, to coach at colleges, to coach at just organizational clubs by me. So it's like, this is what people know, yet you probably left that behind. I haven't coached since 2022. So it's like, for me, I'm like, oh, people think I still coach, but
Mhm.
in reality, it's like that's your identity. Like
Yeah.
soccer is you,
Mhm.
so it's hard for them to detach.
Mhm.
The only thing you can do is detach yourself and not take those positions,
Mhm.
and not say yes to things that you could fall suit to because it's a comfortable zone.
Mhm.
For me, it's like sometimes it's hard. Entrepreneurship is hard. And I'm like, oh, it would just be more, it would be easier for me if I just went to go coach somewhere, you
Yep.
know? But and then I'm like, okay, but that's exactly what I don't want.
Mhm.
But you're giving everybody the same intel
Yeah.
about you. So in order for you to change the identity and change the narrative, you have to do it. You have to do the work. So I still work on that
Yeah.
because I'm doing my best. Because when somebody asks me, oh, can you do one-on-ones with my daughter or son? I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe Saturday mornings, but it's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like I'm still hung up on that,
Mhm.
So of course they're still there, you
And
know.
and I'm sure you still have a love for the game. So that makes it even more difficult because I find myself constantly coming back to the game in some way. Is when I try to detach completely, I always find my way back somehow. And I think that I've learned that that's okay to
Yeah,
that's okay to still be involved if that's what fulfills you. Obviously, if you don't want anything to do with it, then don't have anything to do with it. But if
right,
you
right,
feel in your heart of hearts that you're happier when you stay close to the game or you're involved in some way, whether that's coaching your kids or coaching AAU or whatever, then by all means do that. But
right.
I think it's just important to separate and do the work to find that separation between this is all I can do and this is just something I enjoy doing. This is part of what I do. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So, no, I love that. I appreciate you sharing that.
yeah.
Um, you've kind of
And
mentioned.
it's,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say it is something that I do want to stay around, but just not in the avenue of coaching.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's something more of like I want to help with this identity shift.
Yeah.
I want to help position them financially to
hmm
set up instead of actually be on the field.
Yeah, I was gonna get into that because you mentioned it earlier. You mentioned it earlier a little bit about the real estate company that you started. You and your husband started the businesses that you guys bought. Dive a little bit and kind of tell me a little bit more about that and kind of what you guys have gone on to build.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a long journey to even get started with real estate sometimes for people because it's an avenue that's risky, right? You're taking a chance on an investment property. So one of the times that like we help individuals now even buy properties, and one of the things that a lot of people get are like, oh my God, I didn't know this was this intricate. And I'm like, it's really not. It's really not. There's just, this is the process to getting what you want. So it's like, it may sound like you have to get pre approved, you have to get this, you have to get the down payment ready. It's a lot of little steps, but it's to the process to where you want to go. So for us, we started, and my husband started as an agent many, many years. He's been an agent for like 12 plus years.
Okay.
So he's been in the game of real estate for a long time. And after I tried the PT route, I I got pregnant. And when I was pregnant, I was like, well, this isn't going to happen for me because I want to stay home with my kids. I needed an avenue that works for me. Not just that I didn't want to be a PT in general, but how do I make this work as a mother who wants to work, but also be with her kids? So I had to figure out a route for myself. And I kind of stumbled into wholesale. And my husband had done a couple deals here and there, but as an agent, that was his main focus. So I just learned about it and we just started taking on some deals, and it was something that came from nothing. But it was an avenue that was one that you have to take the process. You have to take step by step because it is difficult. But anything takes time. Like if you hear a lot of people talk about wholesaling or real estate in general, it's always the idea of a risk factor of it, that it's on the negative end of things. A lot of people don't know about real estate. They don't know how to even get started in real estate, how to buy real estate. They think it's so far fetched. They may think it's for the rich. It's for people who have money, people who know about the game of real estate. But all that doesn't matter when it comes to real estate. Wholesaling real estate, you don't even need a license to do. That is the idea of finding a property and you're kind of buying, giving it to an investor, someone who wants to hold it long term. So you're just getting a fee in the middle. You're the middleman. That's how we started and took that money, which is very lucrative, because you're doing deals quite frequently because of the turnaround. You're in and out of deals. You're not the one at the signing table. So you're getting deals and you're like, where do you invest this? So we started investing into properties in Pennsylvania, Florida, different areas. And it's just something that grew. My husband's always had goals to own rental properties. Both of our families had owned rental properties, but I didn't know too much about the whole ins and outs of it. And with my husband, he always knew he wanted a property. He had people around him that told him about it, and so we knew that's a journey that we wanted to take. So the journey you have to commit to. One of the things that I tell a lot of athletes and individuals who just want to get into real estate is you got to be ready for the process. Everybody, that's why I think athletes would be so great in real estate and entrepreneurship, is because we're okay with the process. We know something doesn't take overnight. We know what it takes to grind every single day, to pick up a ball and go to the park by yourself and do some drills by yourself. We know what it takes, like to make that bended ball go top left, and you're taking 50 shots a day for no reason, you know.
Well,
But
you
the
had a
one game you do
flashback.
it,
I feel like you
yeah,
had a flashback.
yeah, yeah. No, because I really, really thought about it.
Yeah,
And there was one game I did it and I got a goal. And it's
yeah.
like, but you practice that for so long,
Mhm.
and it's like, we know the journey it takes, the process it takes, and you're okay with it. But a lot of individuals aren't, a lot of people don't know that. Um, and I'm not saying that athletes are better at the entrepreneurship game or not. I am saying, though, we're more patient to the process.
Mhm.
uh, so in order for us to really, and my husband's an athlete, so he actually played soccer as well at college. So
Okay.
he knows, we both knew we were on the same page about what it takes to build an empire, what it takes to actually build a business, the risk versus reward. Sometimes as an athlete, you're putting all your whole body on the line to sit on the bench. Some people sit on, on. I was one that I didn't sit on the bench, so thank God.
Yeah.
um, but it's like a lot of people do, only a certain amount of people can play,
Mhm.
and everybody shows up to practice. Everybody shows up to the games and not everybody plays.
Yeah.
But it's okay. As an athlete, you learned the teamwork of it. You learned that, yeah, I didn't play, but my team still got the one. Yeah,
Mhm.
and we still won. So in order to actually reap what you want in real estate and entrepreneurship, you have to be on that same page. And thankfully, my husband and I were on the same page with where we wanted to go with our life. Real estate, building that empire, taking the chance, knowing that maybe this one was a risky chance, but it's okay. Because it will take 10 years, maybe sometimes, to see the fruit of your labor, but we're okay with the process and we're okay waiting to see that. And we started building businesses and opportunities showed up. So in one of the buildings, we had the opportunity to own a flooring company because he was going out of business and he said he'll sell it to us. And it was in the building we owned already. So it was perfect, So it's like those are the little things that escalate the journey.
Hmm.
And if you never took the chance to buy the property 5 years ago, you would have never got the chance 5 years ago to own a flooring company.
Hmm.
So when the reason I say all that is just because one of the biggest things with entrepreneurship, real estate building, businesses building, is the process it takes and the patience. And maybe it's cliche, we've heard it so much, but athletes really have that. We know what it takes to actually sit there and grow a seed.
Hmm.
When you're 6 years old and you're showing up to practice, you don't know what that can cultivate. But then you sometimes have that dream and you do know that it's going to come up, you
Hmm.
know, and then you see yourself 20, 25, not paying for school, you know, getting these scholarships, going and pro. Like these are the rewards that you get. But look at the journey, 25 plus years of a
Hmm.
journey that nobody sees. And so one of the biggest things with real estate, building a business, is you have to have that first. If you don't have that mindset first, it's going to be tough for you to win. And in order for you to actually scale a business and not just buy an existing business, but keep it alive,
Hmm.
scale the business itself, you have to have that mindset. You have to have the ability to say, okay, well, you're taking something from day one. What can this be in 365 days? And that is the journey. Um, so we that's what we help with our real estate building, with our businesses. We start there first because a lot of individuals come to us wanting to start real estate and wanting to start a business, but they're not there yet.
Hmm.
um you're gonna fail, unfortunately. If you're not coming with the right mindset, you can lead a horse to the water, you can't make them drink it. So it's like, if you're not coming with the right mindset, it's going to be hard. And we've had several people buy properties and yet kind of screw us over, screw the people we work with over, the relationships we've cultivated over, the empires we've built. People don't want to work with us anymore because of the people we've brought into it. There's
Hmm.
a lot of things because people don't want to actually show up when they need to show up. Oh, I had to pay this amount for a water bill or this and that. They didn't know the intricacies of everything. But yeah, you do lay all that out. But again, the process of it. They didn't know this is an every month thing or every 3 months, depending on where you buy the property. All this stuff comes into play.
Hmm.
They didn't know that by the time they saw their first check as a profit from a business was going to be a year later. That all these things they don't know. So that's why I like working with athletes. The mindset's there. We connect. We understand each other. I know that you know what it takes to get
Hmm.
somewhere. So coming into something and showing you that having this contract and putting it to work with real estate, buying a business, and you know what it takes to actually put the money there and see it actually cultivate within 10 years, right after you play, whatever it might be, we can walk that path together.
Hmm.
But one of the biggest things we've seen with a lot of other individuals is very difficult. You kind of like pulling somebody and they just don't know what to do with you.
Hmm. So say I'm a athlete, non-athlete, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
I come to you and I say, hey, I want some help. Uh, I want to, I have a little bit of money. Looking to do something with it. I'm open to all opportunities, real estate, business, owning, acquiring a business, the whole nine. How would you kind of go about helping that individual?
Yeah. So one of the key things we do is strategy planning first, because we want to know, are you okay with different strategies in general? So are you okay with getting into real estate? Are you okay with buying a business? Are
Mhm.
you okay with whatever avenue? Do you want to own a shop by yourself? Maybe it's not an existing business. You want to build something from the ground up.
Mhm.
Do you want to buy a chain? Do you want to buy something that's already fruitful, whatever? whatever your avenue, we have to speak about that first, because a lot of athletes, yeah, they may want to work this money. Some athletes want to be hands off. Some athletes want to just invest this money and then you kind of work it for me,
Hmm.
which is it's great because now you know the avenues they want, because you know what avenues are cash flowing. That's really all they want. They just want their return,
Hmm.
which is great. But some athletes want to be involved and they want to make a name for themselves in a specific market. So it's some athletes may want to buy McDonald's. Some athletes may want to start a Papa John's shack. There's a lot of things that go into what you want to do. Some athletes are like, oh, you know what? I've always wanted a massage shop, and then we can look into getting salon suites, and actually have five salon shops in one. I mean, five massage shops in one. Now that's cash flow coming in, and you have every door rented, So it's like there's so many different avenues to make money. You just have to figure out what do you like to do, and we'll do the rest. In the sense of buying the business. So some athletes do want that cash flow. One of the things we always recommend, like I mentioned earlier, is laundromats, um, car washes. Those are so lucrative to the point where you just don't have to be involved at all in those. You're picking up the money probably once a week, and you just make sure you have systems in place. That's always the key. Good managers in place to make sure those are systems are running, but you're not doing food deliveries such as McDonald's. You're not trying to figure out the where you're going to get the meat from, all the intricate stuff that go into running a food place. Even like a flooring company, how we inherited it. If you want to be into floors. That's something that we can look into buying businesses. Every day, somebody's selling their business. So, depending on if it's cash flowing, that's how we get into it. And then you have to run those numbers. You have to run the ROIs, try to figure out what is actually going to be your investment return, because that's the key. Then we start writing up business plans and proposals for what you want to do. And then from there, we kind of just break down your ownership, your equity, the pathways we're going to get into, um, the real estate you want to buy, all of that. And then we start branding you. And one of the things with athletes is you have a platform, so in those years, you should be using that platform to brand the business that you have, which is great because you're going to actually build more leverage that way than when you retire and then you buy a business, then you buy whatever, and then try to push it. You rather people start following you already and then they start buying whatever you're selling. Maybe you've always been into furniture, like Stefan Diggs, and now he has a furniture company.
Oh, does
Stuff
he?
like, yeah, he just launched this furniture company.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah,
awesome. That's
yeah.
cool.
It's amazing, you know. And it's like that was step one. Like we find out what you want to do, then we make it happen for you. And it's like for him, he's always, I guess, been into fashion and just statement pieces, for your home. So he just launched his own, yeah, furniture company, which is really nice and really cool. But as an athlete now, he's branding that.
Mhm.
If you go on his socials, he's starting to brand that. So it's like that's what we do as well, is starting to do the legacy branding and the cultural support and building the websites and trying to figure out what works for you and just cultivating that whole atmosphere for you. We work with your accountants, we work with your financial advisor if you have one, your agents, whoever you have on board, we work with, because I think it's important for everybody to be on the same page, and especially if the athlete doesn't want to be involved, if we're going to be the ones doing everything with you, that's what we do. So we want to make sure that this is an avenue that actually just scales you, because when you retire, we want you to retire well. We don't want you to go back to the streets. We don't want you to have to struggle. It's not when you retire to start building. You know, there's so much that goes into when you sign that contract. It's not just about, oh, wow, I've made it, which is great. You worked your whole life to do that. But then also you work your whole life to go back to square one. Sometimes like that's what you see,
Yeah.
especially in the NFL, the NBA, all these individuals unfortunately just blow the money because they have no guidance. in where to put the money or what brings cash flow, what brings return. And so with real estate, we always recommend buying existing buildings, big buildings that allow 20, you have 20, 30 doors. So again, that's great cash flow for you. Buying hotels, Airbnbs, whatever, again, you're into first. And let's say you're not into something, then we'll pick what works for you. But with what you want to do, where do you see yourself? Do you want to own, McDonald's itself is real estate. McDonald's does not, it's actually a more intricate business than any other business out there because McDonald's buys the land and then they build McDonald's on it. So they're in the real estate business before they're in the food business.
Mhm.
So that's why McDonald's is such a great investment, is because wherever they buy, that is theirs. Their land is theirs. And then they're not paying it somebody for the land where most people rent. If you want to buy your own business and you want to put a business there, most of the time you rent out a space.
Mhm.
That's what changed the industry for buying businesses and what a lot of people in Chick-fil-A started doing. All these other bigger businesses after McDonald's, they started buying the land and they caught on to what McDonald's was doing because now McDonald's was owning two things, not just the business, but also the land on top. So they were in the real estate business, but also business itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, all that we do, and then we break it down, and then we just kind of go from there with our athletes and any other individual who's looking.
Love that. Love that. Christina, this has been great. This has been amazing. I'm grateful for you and you offering to come on here and being willing to come on here. I'm extremely grateful and thankful for that. Where can the people find you at on socials?
Yeah, you can. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Social Multiplier Seed. That's my company name. Where it's the idea behind we help you multiply your gift. So your gift of basketball, we help multiply that into multiple streams of income. Your gift of braiding hair, we help you multiply that into a scalable company. A lot of different things we can help you multiply. That was the idea. But yeah, you can find me on all socials, Multiply Your Seed or Christina Townsend.
Perfect. Now I have to ask one more question before I let you go.
Yes.
Do you know anyone who would be good to bring on the show, on the podcast? And if so, then you have to help us get them on.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Anybody come to mind? And you
Yeah, a
don't.
couple people come to mind. I mean, I have a lot of professional players that I know that are still playing soccer now. I
Mhm.
would love to be on the podcast. I don't know if you do international. My friend Lauren, who actually now coaches for Paris Saint-Germain. She does a lot of business work with them. So that's something I that she's the first one that came to mind because she played at a high
Okay.
level and now she transitioned into being like kind of a manager role for the players for
Yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain. So
Yeah. No, I would love to have her on. I would love to have
yeah,
her on. So
yeah,
you have to make that introduction.
I will. I will. I'll
Okay.
send the emails.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Christina, I appreciate you. Like I said, I'm super grateful for you and your time. Maybe we can, schedule another time for you to come on as your business continues to grow and you can kind of update us on, how all that's been going.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Thomas, for everything that you're doing. Thank you for doing this for the athlete community. It's well needed. So, and it was a blessing to be on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. No worries. It is the feeling is mutual. So I'm uh I'm gonna let you go and you have a great rest of your night and yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay, you too.
All right.
Have a
Bye-bye.
blessing.